My daughter slipped me a note under the table at dinner. Two words: call 911, no explanation, no eye contact, just her trembling hand and that pale, hollow look in her eyes. I froze. My mom was smiling like nothing was wrong. My dad was raising his glass. My sister was scrolling her phone. And my daughter, my only child, was silently begging me to save her from them. I didn't ask questions. I stood up, walked to the bathroom, and dialed. 17 minutes later, the cops knocked on the door. That's when my family started panicking. And that's when I realized I'd been blind for too long. I hadn't even finished my wine when she slipped the note into my hand. We were sitting at that creaky old table in my parents' countryside house, the one they call the retreat. Though it always smelled like damp wood and denial, Lily sat beside me, barely touching her food. My mother was rambling about her neighbor's new deck, my father was mid-toast, and Astrid, my sister, was glued to her phone as always. It felt normal, uncomfortably normal. Then Lily's hand brushed mine. I looked down. A folded square of yellow paper ripped from the notepad my mom keeps near the phone, the kind she uses for grocery lists and passive-aggressive reminders. I unfolded it under the table, heart thudding. Two words: call 911, all caps, no punctuation, no context, just that. I didn't react right away. I couldn't. My fingers went numb. My throat tightened. I looked at Lily, but she didn't look back. She kept her eyes fixed on her plate like she hadn't just set my entire nervous system on fire. Her leg was bouncing under the table. Her jaw was clenched, her hands shaking. "Everything all right, honey?" My mom's voice sliced through my daze like a butter knife pretending to be a blade. I swallowed. "Just the potato salad," I lied, managing a smile. Bit heavy. They laughed. My dad made a jab about my city stomach. Astrid didn't even look up. But I wasn't listening anymore. I was scanning every detail: Lily's swollen eyes, her silence. The lawyer guy across the table, who kept smiling at me like we'd met before, but I knew we hadn't. Something was wrong. Deeply wrong. "I'm just going to use the restroom," I said, standing too fast. I grabbed my purse. My mother nodded, too distracted by her boxed wine to care. The hallway felt narrower than I remembered. I locked the bathroom door behind me and sank onto the closed toilet lid, hands trembling. My phone nearly fell out of my grip. I dialed 911. When the dispatcher answered, my voice cracked. "My daughter just gave me a note. It said, call 911. She's staying with my parents. I'm just visiting. I don't know what's wrong, but I think she's in danger. Please." The woman on the line was calm, professional, asked for the address, the number of people in the house, whether anyone was hurt. I told her everything I knew, which wasn't much except that my daughter was terrified, and I believed her. "Officers are on their way," she said. "Do not alert the others." I hung up and stared at my own reflection in the mirror, washed out, confused, scared. I didn't know what I'd just set in motion. I just knew. I had to go back out there, back to the table, back to the people I once trusted, back to the family I was beginning to see, truly see, for the first time. Walking back into that dining room felt like walking into a trap I hadn't realized I'd been baited into. Everyone was exactly where I left them. My dad was laughing some story about golf carts, I think. My mom was topping off everyone's wine like she ran the worst vineyard in America. Astrid still, scrolling, and Lily was still, too still. I sat down. My wine glass was right where I left it. I held it like a prop, something to do with my hands so they wouldn't shake. I nodded. I smiled. I laughed at a joke I didn't hear. My stomach felt like it had been tied into knots. My skin was buzzing. Any minute now, I thought. Any minute, and they'll be here. Cops at the door, real ones, to stop whatever this was. But what was this? I looked at Lily again. Her eyes were glassy, her shoulders tense. She picked at her food mechanically. I wanted to scream at her. What happened? What did they do? But I couldn't. Not here, not in front of them, because now everything felt like a performance, and I was sitting across from actors I didn't know I'd cast. The man across the table, the one they'd introduced as a family friend earlier, smiled again. A little too much. His suit was too nice for this dump of a house. His cufflinks glinted in the candlelight. Something about him made my skin crawl. He raised his glass to me. I raised mine back. I felt like I was choking on silence. Flashbacks started sneaking in. All those times I'd brought Lily here when she was little, with her backpack full of drawings and stories for Grandma. How my parents would nod and smile, then go back to their newspapers or reruns. How she kept trying anyway. How she always packed her favorite things, thinking maybe this time they'd really see her, just like I had. For years. I glanced at my mom. She was laughing too hard at something Charles said, my dad, the eternal diplomat, making light of everything. She clutched her wine glass like it gave her meaning. That was the thing about my mother. She never raised her voice, never hit. No, she weaponized calm. Everything was polite, measured, sugar-coated. If she told you your dress made you look puffy, it was with a smile and a pat on the shoulder. So when she said Lily needed rest after Uncle Henry died, I believed her. When she said fresh air would help, I believed her. When she said we just want to support her, I believed her. God help me, I believed all of them. And now I was watching them pass the salt like they hadn't caged my daughter in this house. A part of me wanted to get up again, just grab Lily and run. But the rational part, the part that knows the system, said, wait, let them come. Let the professionals see it. I could hear the clock ticking in the hallway. Every tick sounded louder than it should. Lily's knee bumped mine. She didn't look over, but I felt it. I squeezed her hand under the table, and then a knock on the door. I flinched. So did everyone else. It was time. The knock echoed through the house like thunder rolling over still water. Everyone froze, and my dad's mouth hung open mid-sentence. My mom's wineglass stopped halfway to her lips. Astrid blinked slowly like she wasn't sure she'd heard anything at all. Lily didn't move, not a blink, not a breath. I'll get it, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. I stood pushing my chair back gently. The scrape of the legs against the floor was deafening. That family friend, Mr. Bennett, I think, half stood too, like he thought maybe this involved him. It did, he just didn't know how much yet. I walked slowly down the hall, heart pounding so hard I could feel it in my ears. 2 officers stood on the porch, one male, one female. No smiles, radios crackling softly, uniforms crisp. Authority radiated off them like heat from asphalt in summer. Ma'am, the male officer said, we received a call from this residence. I nodded, swallowing hard. I called. It's my daughter. She passed me a note. It said, call 911. She's here. Something's not right. She looks scared. She's staying with my parents, and I think she's in danger. The officer's face didn't change, but I saw him nod slightly. Can we come in, please? I stepped aside. The female officer walked in first, her eyes scanning the space like she'd been here before in some other house, some other nightmare. The male officer gently asked if he could speak to me out front. I nodded again, my voice lodged somewhere deep in my chest. Outside, I gave him everything I knew. The note, the behavior, the lawyer who wasn't really introduced, the weird vibe. Lily's changed since she got here. Her grief, her silence. She's been different since her great uncle passed, I said. He left her something, maybe everything, and ever since she came here, she's gone quiet, too quiet. Inside, the female officer was already at the table. I couldn't see Lily, but I could hear her voice now, faint, cracked, and then I heard it. Uncle Henry left everything to me. I turned, my knees buckled slightly, Lily's voice still soft but steady. They told me I was grieving, that I needed rest. Then they started asking me to sign things, legal things. They called it a release of responsibility, Fidel, but it had my name on it. And she pointed, he said he was the lawyer, but he never contacted me. Just them. My mom's voice a brittle laugh. This is absurd. She's been so emotional. Lily didn't flinch. Her voice cracked. I told them no. I said I didn't want to sign anything. I asked to call you, but they took my phone, said it was for my mental health. My jaw clenched. Then she said the words that stopped time. I think they were drugging me. The officers froze. The room went dead silent. The air felt thicker than it had any right to be. The male officer turned toward the female one and gave a single nod. She stood straighter. We'll need to search the property. My mother's wineglass hit the table a little too hard, based on what her imagination. The officer didn't flinch. We have a report, and now we have a statement. That gives us probable cause. And just like that, the shift happened. No more smiles, no more pretending. The masks were off. They started in the kitchen. My mom tried to keep things civil, offering the officers tea like this was some awkward brunch misunderstanding. My dad kept his arms folded, tense. Astrid had that bored, detached look she always wore when things didn't revolve around her. I stayed in the doorway watching everything. It took 15 minutes before one of the officers came back holding a small plastic evidence bag. Inside, loose round pills off white, no label, no bottle. They'd been shoved under a pile of grocery coupons in the junk drawer. Classic hiding spot, not hidden well enough. What are those? I asked, even though I already knew. The officer didn't answer. He just radioed for field testing. My mom's smile cracked. Those could be anything. Vitamins, probably. The female officer raised an eyebrow. Unlabeled pills in a communal kitchen drawer. No response, just silence. My mother reached for her wine glass again. It was trembling. Then they moved on to the guest room, his room. Mary Bennett, the family friend, who had somehow become a fixture in this house without ever being properly introduced. They found a manila folder on his nightstand. Inside typed documents, legal jargon, Lily's name printed cleanly at the top of each page, beneficiary claim, estate forfeiture, power of attorney. Every line was ready for her signature, every page meticulously formatted, but there were no signatures, just blanks, and an eerie preloaded pen clipped neatly to the top of the stack. I could feel the room tilt around me. My knees felt weak again. Then the basement. I'd never been allowed in that basement. Ever. Growing up, my parents always called it unfinished or storage only. But when the officers opened the door and flipped on the light, what they found was a furnished room. Clean, quiet, almost cozy if you ignored the bolt lock on the outside of the door. A twin bed, a small side table, folded blankets, a bookshelf with children's novels. Lily's jacket hung on a hook. Her sketchbook was on the table. Her necklace, the one Henry gave her on her 16th birthday, sat in the center, carefully placed like some sort of shrine. But no phone. That was found upstairs in a locked cabinet in the laundry room beside her wallet. For her peace of mind, my mother had said. I didn't cry. I couldn't. Something inside me had gone cold. The officers didn't need more explanations. They'd seen enough. Mr. Bennett was the first to be escorted out, handcuffed, silent eyes, unreadable. Then my mother followed, protesting the whole time. Astrid was last. She looked back at me just once. No apology, no remorse. I stayed with Lily, sat on the couch while paramedics checked her vitals. She was quiet, pale, curled up inside her hoodie like a turtle in its shell. I tucked her hair behind her ear and whispered, "Why didn't you tell me?" She blinked slowly, didn't speak for a long time. Then finally she said, "I didn't think you'd believe me," and that's what broke me because she had learned what I had once learned. When people seem calm, polite, and well-dressed, no one asks what happens behind closed doors. We should have been safe. The arrests had been made, statements filed, evidence collected. I had a protective order in process. Lily was finally out of that house, curled up in a real bed with clean sheets and a nightlight she actually wanted. I locked every window, every door twice, but they still came. It happened on a Tuesday. I had a client meeting in the city I couldn't reschedule. Lily had insisted she was okay. "I'll just read," she said, "maybe sketch a little." "I'll be fine, Mom." I almost didn't go, but I did. And when I came home, my front door was locked, but Lily was sitting on the living room floor, her knees hugged to her chest, her eyes glassy, her face pale. "They came," she said. No greeting, no preamble, just that. My chest tightened. "Who?" She didn't look up. "All of them. Grandma, Grandpa, Astrid." I dropped everything, bag keys, even my coffee. I knelt beside her. "Did they touch you? Did they come inside?" She shook her head, then unlocked her phone, scrolled and pressed play. It was a voice recording. 37 minutes. First came my mother's voice, soft, sugary, like honey, masking rot. "Freya, darling, we just want to clear the air. You've always been so sensitive, so poetic. You see things differently. That's not a crime, sweetheart." Then my father, cold and clipped. "You don't understand the pressure we've been under. Your grandmother hasn't slept in weeks. We did what we had to, then Astrid." Flat, resentful. "It was never about hurting you. It was about fairness. That money, what would you even do with it? You're 17, my mother again. It was always going to tear this family apart. Maybe if Henry had left it to someone more mature." I paused the recording. My hands were shaking. I looked Lily in the eyes. Did they threaten you? She shook her head again. No, but they didn't have to. It was worse than threats. It was guilt, performed like theater. I reported the visit immediately. The officer on the line was furious. They violated their bail conditions. No contact means no contact. We'll file an immediate escalation. That night, I packed our bags. Again, we moved into a short-term rental, an oversecured duplex in a quiet part of town with too many locks, and a neighbor who never missed a thing, Mrs. Delaney. 84, lived by her window with a pair of binoculars and a police scanner. I baked her banana bread and she gave me a spare key to her place just in case. Lily didn't argue. She didn't speak much at all, but she slept closer to me than she had in years. She kept every light on. She checked the deadbolts herself every night. She was scared, but she wasn't giving up. The next morning, I filed for a no-contact order. It was granted in 24 hours. And then came the call the investigators had separated the defendants. One by one, they started to crack. It didn't take long once they were alone. The police used the classic strategy: separate everyone, tell each one that the others had already confessed. Let panic do the rest. And oh, did it work. Astrid cracked first. Loyalty, it turned out, had limits. She said it was all our mother's idea, that she just went along with it, that she didn't think they'd actually drug Lily. She even claimed she tried to talk them out of the forged documents. Convenient. Then came my mother. She blamed the lawyer, claimed he'd pushed the entire estate manipulation, said she never touched the tea that Lily had imagined the drug in, that it was just grief, just paranoia, just trauma. My dad, he played dumb, said he didn't know anything was in the drinks, that he thought the locked room downstairs was a safe space, that taking Lily's phone was to help her disconnect from the stress. Right. But it was Mr. Bennett, the so-called family friend and crooked estate lawyer, who folded like cheap laundry. Emails, payment records, voice memos, copies of every version of the unsigned documents. One of them even labeled worst-case scenario script for non-cooperation. He had a whole strategy mapped out for what to say, if Lily resisted, what to tell authorities if things escalated, what legal gray areas they could massage. I almost admired the thoroughness. Almost. The charges came fast after that. Charles, my father, was charged with false imprisonment, coercion, and administering controlled substances without consent. He was sentenced to 6 years in prison, parole eligible after 4. Margaret, my mother, was convicted of conspiracy to commit fraud and unlawful drugging. 4 years, no parole before the halfway point. Astrid was charged with conspiracy. 18 months, she served 9. Her social media disappeared last I checked. Mr. Bennett disbarred. Fraud, unlawful confinement, obstruction of justice. 8 years, no early release, no fancy loopholes. And Lily, she was safe. 3 months later, we were summoned to a real lawyer's office this time. One with worn leather chairs, soft lighting, and no hidden agendas. The woman behind the desk was kind, warm. She handed Lily a thick folder and said gently, "It's all yours now." The account balance was staggering, enough to cover college therapy, rent, travel, and then some, enough to build a life, a free life. We walked out into the sun, Lily holding the packet like it might vanish if she blinked too hard. She didn't say a word until we got home, then she cried. Not from fear, not from pain. From relief. She whispered, "They can't take anything else from me now." And I knew she was right. Some days I still wake up before dawn, heart pounding, unsure of what room I'm in. That smell, the musty wood-stale coffee lemon cleaner, haunts me. Not because of ghosts, because of memory, because of the masks people wear when they want to be seen as good family. It's been almost a year. Lily's healing, slowly. There are still moments when she startles at the sound of a door shutting too hard. She keeps her phone on her at all times now, never puts it on silent, double checks locks before bed. Sometimes she asks me if they'll try again. I tell her no, not anymore. The no contact order remains in place, and the prison time is real. But fear has a long half-life when it's been fed by betrayal, especially betrayal that comes with smiles and folded napkins. She started therapy, the good kind, the hard kind. At first, she barely spoke. Now she sketches between sessions, drawings of places she wants to visit, apartments she dreams of living in. Some days she even laughs. Real laughter, the kind that makes her eyes crinkle. She's planning for college now, wants to study psychology, says maybe one day she'll help girls like her, like us. As for me, I've had to rebuild a version of motherhood that doesn't carry guilt like a second skin. Because truthfully, I still ask myself the same question over and over. Should I have seen it sooner? The signs were there. The way Lily's voice got smaller over those phone calls, the strange excuses from my parents, her silence, that hug when I first arrived, that tight, desperate grip. I should have pushed. I should have shown up sooner, but I didn't, and that shame lingers. Still, when it mattered most, I listened. I acted. I believed her. That's more than my parents ever did for me. And maybe, just maybe, I broke the cycle. I no longer believe that silence is noble or that politeness is protection. And I've learned something else too. Family isn't who shares your blood, it's who safeguards your truth. Uncle Henry knew that. He didn't just leave Lily money, he left her a message: you are enough. You are worthy. You matter. Sometimes I visit his grave alone. I bring cinnamon cookies and coffee and I tell him how she's doing. I imagine he'd smile at her drawings. I think he knew what kind of people his sister and brother in law really were. I think that's why he left it all to Lily, and I think that's why she survived. So, was I wrong for not seeing it sooner? Should I have pushed harder, asked more questions, refused to believe the polished smiles of the people who raised me? Maybe, probably. But when my daughter passed me that note, just 2 words, call 911, I didn't hesitate. I acted. And maybe that was enough to break the pattern that almost swallowed us both. Lily is healing now. She's rebuilding a life they tried to steal. And I'm learning that protecting your child sometimes it means going to war with the people who once held you. I used to think loyalty meant silence, that keeping the peace was the highest form of love. Now I know love isn't quiet when harm is happening. Love is loud. Love shows up. Love believes. What would you have done if your daughter handed you that note? Would you have believed her or doubted the danger behind polite conversation and casserole dishes? Let me know in the comments. And if this story resonated with you, please share it. Someone out there might need to hear that they're not crazy for feeling unsafe around the people who claim to love them. Don't forget to hit subscribe for more stories like this. You're not alone.